Sutton United Talk Time on podcast. It's the Sutton Podcast.
And there it is! Sutton United of the GM Vauxhall Conference have put out First Division Coventry City, winners of the FA Cup themselves less than 2 years ago. And what a moment to enjoy for the fans of this Surrey side. They've had their moments before, but never one like this. But the whistle goes down. Delight for Sutton United. Sutton United from the National League are through to the last 16 of the FA Cup. No longer English football's perennial non-league club. A 123-year crescendo reaches a new peak for Sutton United, who are promoted to the Football League for the first time.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Sutton United Talk Time on podcast. It's the midweek social. We're live on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, all the usual stuff. So give us a shout out if you're listening on any of those. Joining me today, we have got Jenny. Hello, Jenny. Nice to have you back on.
Hiya. Thank you. Hiya.
And we got Jared as well. Hello, Jared. Nice to see you again.
No star. Are you in?
And I'm not suggesting that we're going to skip through the Swindon one very quickly, but we've also got Harry from Tranmere. So hello, Harry. How are you?
Good evening. How are you doing? You okay?
Yeah, very well, thank you. So we will talk about Swindon game very, very much quickly. Jenny, obviously I had you on because you've been building up to this game for a long time, living up there, and you obviously wanted to get some little bit of revenge and rub people's faces in it. How did you feel when you saw the team sheet?
I was very surprised, actually. I must admit, I didn't know Craig Eastman was not going to be there. Harry and Dino was a possibility, maybe, but I must admit my heart sank when I saw that those three were out, because I sort of thought they were rather a little bit like the spine. Mm-hmm. But with Craig as well, big players. And Louis, I looked at that team sheet and if all of those had been playing, hand on heart, I feel the result probably would have been different. I know that Swindon supporters will say, excuses, but when I didn't see Louis, Harry, Dino and Craig, my heart sank. But I thought who was there was brilliant, but when you only have 4 subs and you get, love it. Oh yeah, love it, I knew possibly, but wasn't good. Wasn't a good feeling initially.
Jared, yourself, what were you thinking?
I was like, God, I didn't bring my boots. To be honest, when I saw that team sheet, I didn't see the team sheet first until I got into the grounds, and spoke to sort of sports like, "Are you looking forward to today's game?" I was like, "You seen the team sheet?" And it's looks just like, oh no, and especially I think I saw someone put the list of players we have missing at the moment. It's like that's pretty much a first level we got missing currently, and you see like our centre midfield consisted of a centre forward and a kid who's been on loan at Tunbridge Angels all season. And as a Wales supporter, I know I've seen Johnny Williams hold his own against like Luka Modric in centre midfield. It's like he's playing against Omar Bugel and Adam Lovett tonight. We're going to get pasted. But no, all credits to those who were in the squad. The fact our bench was Dundo and his mini-me, plus Brad House, a goalkeeper, and Ricky Corbell was, I'll say, kind of worrying. But credit to everyone who played on the night. I thought we were unlucky. I thought we played well enough to get a draw, but probably not well enough to. But Swindon were probably the better side, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the same as you. Obviously, it's no disrespect intended to any of the players who were on that team sheet, but when you see that and you're like, oh my God, I never want to hear another side talk about bare bones again, because you say a centre forward in centre mid, a guy who's playing 2 steps below, who making his debut, 3 wingers on the pitch. Although Enzio, to be fair, he's played right back, centre mid now, up front, both wings. Need to get him in goal, But yeah, so I did fear the worst. Then I did start seeing some of the Swindon fans worrying about their team. But yeah, full credit to the guys. They absolutely battled. And what makes it difficult is the 2 goals that we conceded were awful goals that you would have been really disappointed with. So yeah, I mean, it was a tough ask. And yeah, full credit to all the guys for battling away last night. Could have nicked a draw, which absolutely would have bitten their hands off. And even at the end, when you're sort of thinking, well, we lost 2-1, but actually that's not a bad result at all when you take everything into consideration. But it does mean we've kind of dropped. Kick-off against Wigan, we were 3rd. And final whistle last night, we were 8th, which just shows how ridiculously tight it is. But who do we feel came out of last night with a little bit of credit to go towards the nominations of Sutton Pod Award?
For me, it was either choice of 2 really. Maybe the whole full team, but definitely those who played. But Enzo and Omar, I thought Omar, considering he's not a centre midfielder, did a fantastic job in centre midfield last night. He was Omar. He was the kind of player who just put himself everywhere. Enzo led the line up front very well last night, so I thought it was a good game. Also Ben Goodliffe, captain last night as well for the first time. Did great. Led the line in defence very, very well. So any of those 3 really for me.
Yeah. And Jenny, who did you think?
Yeah, I've got to sort of agree with that really. And most of the team as well. I thought Omar was, brilliant. He seemed to cover, the whole of the pitch really. He was everywhere. What if you had to say what position was he playing? I think most people thought, not sure, but definitely Omar. But I always think Ben's brilliant in defence. He'll throw his body at anything, where the ball's going. So yeah, I've got to agree with Jared, but probably Omar to go for it. I've got to give a little shout out as well for. Well, I think he's getting better each game. Is Will Randall? I have to say that because his parents were. I hung back a little bit after the match because living so near, I didn't have to rush to get home, and he had his sort of whole family outside, and I hadn't realised who they were. I'd met them before, and then I suddenly did. So when he came out, he was giving them all a hug, and I think they suddenly adopted me because he gave me one, and I went, "But I'm not." He went, "No, don't worry, Jenny. You are, No, he. I'd like to have seen what we'd have done if we, Tanto and all the others, because Swindon were not the same calibre as when they were down at Candy Green Lane. Definitely not, and
I think the big miss for me last night was Craig Eastman. Since he's come to the club back in 2015, he's been, consistently an amazing player for us. And the game I think we like the season where because he's missed a few games now, unfortunately. Like Bristol Rovers away where we didn't have in the league where Eastman wasn't playing. Just our defence looked a shambles that night, and I think it's credit to Ben and Kobe stepped up last night because obviously Eastwood adds that extra layer in defence, defensive play. We definitely missed Craig Eastwood last night, and so I think he was probably our biggest miss in terms. But I agree with you, Jenny, about Will Randall. I think he's actually probably our most consistently good player. He's the one player who doesn't have. He's not. Some of our players will have a lot of our good players will have off games every so often. I don't think that's always the case with Will. I think he always persistent. Provides the same level of consistency every time he plays, and he's always a useful outlet for the team. I'm just trying some bit of a Will Randall fanboy sometimes.
I think he's. Sorry, no, I was just saying about Will. He sort of used to disappear during some matches, and I know everyone got used to him cutting inside, and he used to cut inside and lose the ball. But I found that he's mixed that up a bit. I assume he's worked on that in training, and he's not so much just cut inside. But if he does cut inside, he can keep that ball. And as we've seen on occasions now, he cuts inside, he shoots, and he scores. When he has done that. So I think he has improved tremendously. And long may that continue. But yeah, go.
So another player that really impressed me with how much he's improved recently is Enzo. I think the 2 goals the other week really boosted him as a player, and obviously I think he's one. Matt mentioned Greg loses quite a bit sometimes. So it's up to players who don't always have starting positions who take the opportunities with injuries. Like for example, Joe Kizzy did earlier this season. I think Enzo's using the opportunity of injuries in the squad to boost his own standing in the team, and I think he's taking his chance very well. Obviously, his 2 goals the other week. I think he led the line fantastic last night. He was a constant ball. Every time he had the ball, he was a threat to Swindon. Every time he touched that ball last night, and I thought he's a player whose level of performance for me has improved quite a bit in the last couple of weeks.
Okay,
I guess
so
we also. Sorry, I can just quickly say. I guess Enzio and Joe wouldn't have got their chances unless we had the other strikers injured. So it sort of swings and roundabouts, isn't it? That we missed Tanto, and yet it was because we had these people injured that they've come to the fore, and Joe's been just as good as finishing. But anyway, sorry, Mike.
Yeah, it's all right, don't worry. So we're going to put forward to the vote, and people will decide. We're going to put Enzio, Omar, Will, and Ben Goodliff. So people can have a little vote and see, and we'll make a decision. But yeah, it was one of those games we just needed to get it over with. I did see a comment now. I can't remember who said it. It's a bit worrying now that we kind of seem to be limping towards the end of the season. Which, to be fair, I'm not going to disagree with at the moment. We are struggling at the moment with the very small squad. Seems to be catching up with us. And a lot of clubs did strengthen in January when we didn't. So we will see.
I just think it's the way the league is as well. To be honest, like clubs will have really good periods of great results, great performances. Then we'll have bad periods. I mean, look, the fact that the Forest Green haven't won or won only one game in the last 5 or 6, and are still 8-9 points clear at the top of the table, just shows you the level of consistency below them, and the fact that we can go from second to third to 8th in barely a week. Just again shows you how tight everyone is, and it's just a lot. It's 1 or 2 results that can just throw you completely. But then say how this time next week, if say we win on Saturday, so we beat Oldham, we're right back in the mix, and it'd be like, oh, crisis averted. So it's so tight and so inconsistent at the top of the moment that you're 1 or 2 games away from crisis or success.
Well, I don't think we're heading to crisis, but that does give me a nice little segue. Thank you, Jared. Is we will talk about the Tranmere game because we've got a nice, easy game against a team in 4th who suddenly had a little bit of a wobble a couple of weeks ago. And
funny you should say that. I went to Leighton Orient in the FA Cup. We got beat 4-0. I didn't see where the next win was coming from, and we went on a massive run, and just the confidence grew. And then obviously we had that Swindon game at home, following obviously tragic events with Nate, and it was one of our best performances of the year. We won 3-0. We won every tackle. We played lovely through balls. Everything had clicked. It's the first 90 minutes we've had all season. And then obviously we went up to 2nd or 3rd, wherever it was. And then we just nosedived. We started playing long balls. It was just lump the ball, big hoof the ball. We lost, 4 or 5 games. Couldn't get a point. And then obviously we've just had 2 wins back to back. I think what's happening at the minute is everyone's playing each other. The dark horses of Bristol Rovers, in my book, they've come from absolutely nowhere, and they're flying. I think they could potentially do Bolton with the form they're on. And like you said to you guys when you came up to Tranmere, it's a case of buckling up and enjoying the ride. It's going to be so exciting, and as you say, all the way down as far as Mansfield, Port Vale, anybody who hits a bit of run, bit of form at the minute has got a chance. And I think, when we played Forest Green at home, they absolutely snuffed us. They wiped the floor with us. And since then, I think they've pulled for results. I think they've gone 4 or 5 games without a win.
I think it's 7.
Is it 7?
I think someone said it was 7 earlier. I'm not 100% sure. That could be wrong. But...
And it shows you that, because all the teams, from sort of 2nd, 6th, and 7th and 8th have been playing each other week in, week out. Not every team is going to win. And there's been quite a few draws. Yeah. I think you've had a fantastic season. You've had that sort of bounce effect, when we got out of the bin league, with all due respect, the bin league, I keep calling it the bin league, we had that momentum, and that, we got back-to-back promotions, and that's what I was saying to Jenny and your guys up in the tent. I could see that from your team. You were playing for each other right the way through. You might only have a small squad, but you had that winning mentality. And when you've got that, and don't know what they're facing, you're gonna catch them with the pants down. You did it to us. You put one of the best performances at our place, and it kind of, plucky little Sutton. You're there with due respect, due reward. You've done it on your own merit. You want to really enjoy your Wembley trip. Win it. But I know the difficulty from what you've been saying about having a few players out, and the squad, and the depth of the squad. It could fizzle out. I don't think it will, because you've got that winning mentality. I think that's right throughout your club. But if it does, it does. You've had a fantastic season. Yeah. But don't, buckle down and graft, because I think it's going to be a lot of twists and turns over the next 4 or 5 weeks.
Yeah,
it's the business end of the league, isn't it?
Yeah.
The past couple of weeks, when we've lost, everybody else has lost. But Tuesday night is the only night where everyone won, and I think you lost.
Yeah, I think that's literally every other team won. But that was quite frustrating. But I'm glad you mentioned Nate, because Jenny, did you want to go for it?
What about Nate? Well, yeah. I mean, just to thank Harry, really, because when we were up at Tranmere in November, it was Harry that we were sitting all around the one of the tables in the tent, and Harry mentioned to myself and Ali and the others that were sitting there about Nate, and about he's only 5 and that he had a brain tumour, and they were setting up, I believe it was a GoFundMe page to help for the treatment, and and Harry said, could we pass it around some of the supporters, which me and Ali did. And I mean, to cut a long story short, many people down Sutton know this. I know quite a few of them did. Myself and Ali followed Nate's story through his dad, Phil, on Twitter. And sadly, Nate died in February. And me and Ali, we sort of got together because it was really very sad. We saw how Tranmere had embraced Nate, and when they scored in the 5th minute when they played Swindon after he died, and it was very emotional. And so we got together, and what we're going to do on Saturday, and it's been not approved, but it's been agreed by the chairman, Bruce Elliott, by Tim, by other people. We're going to have a bucket collection in the 3 bars and at the meal beforehand to raise money. I know that at the funeral, which was only last week, money was raised for CCLG, which is the Children's Cancer and Leukemia Group, which isn't particularly well funded. I believe his dad has said to us. So we're going to have a bucket collection then, and to be quite honest, any amount. When I was talking to Ali about it on our last home match, already 2 people put their hands in their pocket, brought out a £10 note. So we've already got some money, but we're going to do that. And Rob Oakes, as everyone in the club knows who he is, he's agreed, not a problem, to sort the money out and to get the cheque made out, etc. So we're going to do that. There should be something in the programme, hopefully, and hopefully we're hoping to have Nate's picture on the big screen with there. But Ali's sorting all that out. So
Oh,
sorry,
Jenny,
Ali, if I could, but that's what we're trying to do.
that is so good, and it's so kind of you guys. And at the end of the day, football sometimes takes second fiddle, doesn't it? If you look at what happens within a club, how we support families who are going through tragic circumstances, it's more than football, isn't it?
Yeah.
And we really, really appreciate the support.
I mean, I've got to say, if I could just say, if anyone who listens to the podcast or who finds out who doesn't know, I've got pictures on my iPhone of Nate and of Phil. I've got the clip of what happened when the players scored. Bring your tissues. But no, Nate is the most gorgeous, lovely kid ever. And his dad, unbelievable, has been... you just got to read his Twitter feed. Honestly, he's been absolutely unbelievable in working through his grief and that. We were hoping, I don't think we were hoping that we could perhaps get him to the match, but we understand, obviously, it's only been a week since the funeral and that. But I hope when we next up Tranmere and he gets to a match that, I'd love to meet him. I know Ali would.
Brilliant, yeah.
But
He's
really, if people
Yeah.
see his picture, Nate, that come and see our Ali, and we'll share stuff with you, definitely.
Yeah, I think they're Lincoln based. They're based in Lincoln.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and also for Sutton fans, I would suggest talk to any Tranmere fan, and they will know Nate. The whole club, they will know him, and they'll talk to you about him. Absolutely tragic, but lovely lad. Hope we can do him proud on Saturday.
That's so generous of you. We really appreciate the support. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, you're you're a much bigger club than us, but it's always seemed like a small unit. Not your bigger club. There's a lot more people that come to Sutton, but you do seem like a tuned-in family. Certainly from what I've seen on various different things, your chairman's quite sort of friendly with all the fans as well. I catch.
I think the thing about it is, people often sort of misconceive, because obviously we're based up on Merseyside, and obviously you got Everton, Liverpool, and Shadows, but we're a club of our own stature, and we hit rock bottom. We suffered back-to-back relegations. We were in non-league for 3 years. It's a hell of a league to get out of, as everybody knows. It doesn't take any prisoners lightly.
To be fair, we were there. We actually tried.
Yeah, we were there on merit. And the problem is, you look at some clubs down there at the moment, like Wrexham, Stockport, big, massive ex-Football League clubs. And, we played Harrogate Tuesday night. Look how Harrogate have come up and done and held their own. It can be done. That's what, when we were talking to your guys in the tent, saying, well, we're almost safe. And I was like, say, Jenny, it's not about being safe. You're going to get that back-to-back bounce. You're going to fly. And having that trust, within that squad, once you've got that winning spirit that you have got, and yes, I think, you are suffering with injuries at the minute, which doesn't help. But then sometimes you get the opportunity to, as you're saying, play some of the youngsters who actually thrive from that. So...
I don't want to say this is a big loving, Harry, because it's as if we're all patting each other on the back. But no. When I first went to Tranmere, I just got to say how, you embraced the National League. When we first went up, when you were in National League, you embraced it, you took it on, and some of these ex-league clubs don't. They feel they shouldn't be there, and they're a bit, But Tranmere was so friendly. We got, and honestly, I just found that we've continued that relationship, and we just get on really great together. I hope.
I just want to bring Jared on that. I've said that before. That a lot of the clubs that were down in the National League, it was glorious to beat them and catch their tears, but Tranmere just took it on the chin and just was like, well, we're here for a reason. So you got that feeling as well. I know you thrive on other people's tears, so
there's nothing. There's no more beautiful sound of football than the home team booing you at half time or full time. But I remember I've only been to Tranmere once. The game we actually won back in August 2017. Craig Dundas in the 40th minute or something like that, and afterwards, you expected like the slide comments like, "Oh, you cheat, you're playing with the referee all the time. It's not fair, blah blah blah." But all the Tranmere fans I spoke to that day was like, congratulations, well done, better team on day one. Every time I came down to Gallagher Green Lane, it was it tends to be the friendly end of the ex-league club. So it was a good friend, a friendly, good rapport there. So it's nice to see them do so well in their first couple of seasons back in the Football League. Obviously, they're back down in League 2 at the moment, but yeah, they're a good club, and games between Sutton and Tranmere tend to be quite entertaining. Although we do swap wins, so I'm not too optimistic about Saturday. So we do swap wins every season. But yeah.
Well,
I mean, the gloves will be off on Saturday. It's such an important day for both
Yeah.
teams. No bones about it. But at the end of the day, football's a winner. I think we have turned the corner past couple of games. We've actually started to get the ball down and play it on the deck rather than lump aimless balls that we just. But we've had a couple of key injuries as well. I think our blip coincided with losing Jay Spearing. He's such an experienced midfielder. We've got a young lad on loan from Everton at the minute, Lewis Warrington. He's been absolutely superb. He's really starting to find his feet. Had a great game on Tuesday night, a good game on Friday. The Friday night game we played against Mansfield, a 3-2, that was one hell of a ding-dong. It was a proper old-fashioned football match.
yeah.
I think it was 2-2 in the 92nd minute, and then we won in the 96th minute. There was a big injury for about 10 minutes, but it was a belter of a Friday night football. Good old-fashioned end-to-end match. And again, Mansfield have had a bit of a blip, haven't they?
Yeah.
They hadn't lost the game for weeks, and then
they lost last two, haven't they, Mansfield?
Yeah.
The game they lost against you was like the first time they lost since we beat them back in October.
Yeah.
So they obviously went on a massive unbeaten run, and now they lost two. So it just goes to show you, it's 1 or 2, 2 or 3 games away from disaster or triumph in this league at the moment. So
who do you think's going to finish in the top 3?
I never make predictions. I never have, and I never will. But son.
Okay, sitting on the fence.
I reckon Bristol Rovers are gonna get it.
Well, top 3.
Yeah, I just have a feeling they're gonna just start stomping. I reckon Forest Green will hang on.
Yeah.
Northampton.
Yeah, I think Saturday's going to be a big day for you guys, because if you do beat us, I think that should put you back into the top 3.
I think we've played a couple of games more. I think there's a couple of teams with a couple of games in hand, haven't they? And I tell you what is going to come in, it's goal difference. Without a shadow of a doubt. Goal difference is going to be so important.
Which is why I'm glad we lost 2-1 last night. Because goal difference, everything's put. I mean, myself, I generally don't think, other than Forest Green, you'll be able to call the top 3 until May 6th. Until after the full time last day of the season. I think it's going to be that close up until the last day of the week. Because inevitably, I mean, yeah, they're looking ominous at the moment, but I think Bristol Rovers are probably going to slip up at some point. Exeter, they're looking good, but they could slip up at some point as well. Mansfield could get back on form. Newport had some good spells and some bad spells. Again, yeah, I just think the top 3 you just can't. Well, apart from Forest Green, you can't really call until the last day. I think
we've just
that close.
We lost to Newport away, awful. We lost to Newport away, awful. Sorry, not Newport. Sorry, Northampton. So they're big 6-point games. And if we didn't win our last 2, we could have ended up bloody 12th. That's how ridiculous it is. But
yeah,
I'm hoping we've had our blip at the right time and we can hit a bit of form. But who knows? It depends.
Exactly.
If we play it on the deck today, we've got a chance.
Yeah.
You'll know in the first 10 minutes. If we start hoofing it, I think you'll do us.
Well, I think it's going to depend on the bodies. It's literally going to be a body counting exercise to see who we've got, who we can get out there. I mean,
quick question. You know the rules are set back in the height of the Omicron back in December, January time. It would say you could, if you had 14, if you had less than 14 available players, then you could not play, essentially cancel the game. Does that only apply to COVID situations?
I think it does, Jerry. Yeah.
because last night we were at 14 outfield players, and I think those are the last 14 outfield players we had. And so any injuries, any suspensions, we were, unless someone comes back, we are pretty much asking supporters to bring their boots.
I think Matt and Jason might be ahead of us. In the boots front.
I think anyone with a pulse should be ahead of myself, but and even some people that have a pulse.
But
how are you getting on with the away stand? Is it half done? I know some of the seats are in. How are you getting on?
You've got no stand. You've got 2 sets of seats. The temporary seats which we had at the beginning of the season, and then the permanent seats that have gone in, but they've taken out the standing area, and that's not going to be ready, and the other one that was supposed to be ready isn't going to be ready. So you guys have got the real short straw where you've got a limited availability.
Less than 400 tickets, I think.
Yeah, but by the time Bradford match comes out, the 2 standing areas should hopefully be done.
Yeah.
I've not had an update. I don't know if anyone else heard anything.
Isn't the TARDIS Terrace areas that meant to be done by the end of this month, beginning of next month, so in time for our next home game. Home game, which will be Leighton Orient now.
Oh, okay. I didn't know they were looking at that. I thought it was the Bradford one. That's excellent.
So the whole thing will be ready for Bradford's, but the TARDIS Terrace, from Adrian Barry's last video, should be done at the end of this month, beginning of next month. So we have some. So we should have some because I can't imagine it'd be quite funny trying to give Leighton Orient 400 tickets.
Yeah. Well,
what have you been averaging home gates?
3,000.
3,000.
Just on the 3,000. I think it's 2,997 or something stupid like that at the moment.
Yeah. And how does that compare to the National League?
Way higher.
Way higher.
I mean, so last two Saturday home games were about 2,500 home fans, which we would get on a good day maybe 1,600 home fans in the National League, and that's if everyone turned up, kind of thing. So it's quite a bit high at the moment.
No, yes, there's a definite jump in attendances, which is going to obviously be bolstered then when we do finally get the away section done, because it'll be about 1,000, I think they're saying.
Good.
So, we can certainly have 1,000 of the clubs who can sell it. So, certain clubs won't need it, obviously. But that's kind of really it. Are you gonna make the trip yourself? Did you get a ticket, Harry? Or
I am coming down. Yes.
You are coming down. Excellent.
Good man. we see you in the bar.
It's crossed. Yeah.
Yeah. You'll see us. Yeah.
Excellent news. Well,
thank you very much for inviting me on, guys. I really appreciate it.
You're more than welcome, and I'll talk to you after. But thank you very much for doing it as well, especially with other things that have happened. But just quickly before I wrap up, I've actually managed to get some Tranmere tickets from that EFL app, which bizarrely give out tickets for people who've got season tickets, and I don't really know what to do with them. So if anyone does need any tickets for Tranmere and you're going to go anyway, just give us a shout, and I'll meet you before the game and give you your tickets over. Mike,
seen that? Have a look at him. Look. Hey.
Mike at SuttonPodcast.com. And give us a shout about the podcast, any of the socials, Sutton Podcast or at Sutton Podcast, and I will wrap it up there. I should have, I think on Sunday, I've got Paul and I think Johnny is going to come on Sunday as well. So I will see you guys on Saturday. Hopefully, it'll be a bit of a wasted trip for our friends from Tranmere. But other than that, the loving will continue after Saturday. And I'll catch you guys all soon. Thanks for your time, people. It's lovely to talk to you all. And thank you for listening, everyone. Thank you.
See you Saturday, Harry. See you, Joe.
Yeah, take care.
United!